Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience
Around you. And welcome back to another episode of Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I'm joined by my interceptor friend, Lucy.
Vroom vroom.
Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include Memories of Murder, Bong Joon-ho's other film, Mother, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes of the movie, Sasquatch Sunset, and the first Mad Max from way back when movies sucked. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Go rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora. Remember to come by our Patreon and write in, request a movie, subscribe. We appreciate all the support.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at HempvilleCBD.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we'll be discussing George Miller's 1981 hit Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Mad Max 2, aka The Road Warrior.
Yeah, what a ballsy thing to do to just completely change your title.
Yeah, not many films do that.
I can't think of anything that does that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you have strange ones like Alien and Aliens, and then you have Alien Cubed for the third one, but there's still a 3 involved, so okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Is that how it's said? Alien Cubed?
No.
Oh, okay. That's just you. All right.
That's just David Fincher. I believe Mad Max 2 is the favorite of the original trilogy. We'll come to learn that I think they're probably all up just about as good from 1 to 1. But I do like Mad Max 2 more than I used to after watching it this most recent time. There's some interesting parallels I never picked up on. There's some interesting orderly things versus the chaos of the natural world. And the most obvious, a delve into the truer form of Mad Max as a franchise, I guess. But being hot off the heels of the first film, I'm very curious how you feel about Mad Max 2, especially because you apparently liked Mad Max 1 more than me.
This movie was pretty good. Is it better than the first one? I don't know. This isn't an obvious one for me to say, no, the first one's obviously better.
They're on similar playing fields? Nice.
They're on similar playing fields, yes, for sure. It's different than the first one.
It's very different. It's such a weird evolution, right?
Yes.
It's like a natural evolution, but it's so bizarre to see this kind of evolve in a more chaotic way. And as you'll see, that evolution will come kind of full circle and we start to see, factions, proper factions and societies pop back up.
But it also feels like a different tone.
Yes.
To the movie. Almost a different genre of movie. I'm not quite sure what exactly were, the differences, but it just felt different. But I liked it. I liked that we added some, oomph to this movie. We brought in a comedic relief character, which we didn't really have that in the first movie. We introduced a narrator, sort of, just I guess in the beginning and then the end, and he was hidden throughout the movie. So yeah, I would include that as a narrator. We have crazy action, and we have crazy action in the first one, but this action just seemed more choreographed and more planned than the first movie. And we also have a plot twist. Everyone loves a good plot twist. Especially movies back then. I don't know how popular plot twists were back then. I just feel like they're so recent, or like, movies today are going to have a plot twist if they're any good. I don't know. Is that just me? But we also have a proper Mad Max. I like what you said here in this movie. We're establishing what Mad Max is. I spent some time thinking about what this movie is saying, really, and it's the movie that starts to build him as a legend, which now I get. I get why you said that about the first movie and about the 2015 one. That Mad Max is this sort of like legendary, mythological god, whatever. Like, he's just a legend that people speak of. I'm like, is he though? Like, he's clearly right here in the first one. I see him. He has a wife and kid. Nothing legend about that. But I get it. I get it now. I see it here. I love it. I love what they did there. But again, it just doesn't have that same vibe that the first one has, which is what I liked a lot about the first one. We still have some surrealism here, but we don't have that bizarreness. And we don't have that kind of horror element that we kind of talked about in the previous episode. We don't have that here. And those were probably my two favorite things about the first one.
Yeah, I think we sacrifice some of these horror elements, especially some of the surrealistic elements, for some proper storytelling and proper development of like archetype characters and stuff. We don't have real development as far as characters go, but we have almost this Aesop fable kind of allegorical just story that is passed down through the times, which we get a great representation of the little boy who grows up telling this story to us, to whoever is his kids or whatever, right? Kind of thing, which is very cool. And yeah, it helps build that mythical presence of Mad Max.
Yeah, it's like a story you tell around the campfire.
And no one believes it,
and
you know?
Yeah.
Because everyone else who was part of it is dead or something kind of thing. But everyone's heard the story. Everyone's got their own interpretation of it. You can kind of feel that happening. And it's very cool in its messaging. But we sacrifice some of the unspoken surrealistic kind of things that pop up in film for a little bit more of a controlled absurdism, in that the rival gang, the ones who wear black and leather, are deeply in tune with their animal kind of instincts and stuff. And so it's a real contained form of absurdism versus these so-called more civilized people in kind of robes and beige color.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because these characters, especially the bad guys, must have looked really weird to people back then. People back in the 80s. Like, what the fuck am I looking at? I don't know what other movies similar to this came out around that time. I'm still stuck with my Karate Kid. So I don't have a great comparison to what people are seeing on the screen right now. What kind of action is happening on the screen. I'm sure the Rambo movies were around this time, but they're not quite that kind of action. But it's not quite surrealism. These people being tied in front of their cars and them dressing the way they're dressing. It's more on absurdity. Because we also have that scene, and that's probably maybe the weirdest scene to me that I could categorize into the bizarreness from the first one, but barely. And it's the scene where Max has the Gyro Captain tied up in the back of his car, and the dog has a bone in its mouth, and that bone is tied to the trigger of the gun, and I guess if the dog moves, he's dead. And that's probably the most bizarre scene that I could find. But it doesn't quite feel surrealistic. It felt more absurd, which I like that. I like that you could put a word to it for me.
One thing I want to focus on is this desire to keep the natural world out. Like your house. We have this settlement harvesting oil. They're literally fenced in, right? Keeping the mongrels out. But we see this repetition of kind of humanity versus animalism.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally have the spectrum of it. We have humanity with some kind of sense of order and how things should be. And then we have the animalistic side of humanity. But we also have that in between with the boy who literally comes in and out of it. He has a hole that can enter the compound and go outside. Just like how we put up all these barriers to detach ourselves from the natural world, right? We have air conditioning, we have walls, we put bug spray down, right? To keep the outside world out and to kind of live in our little paradise, but always being challenged with the outside. You know, you got to cut your grass and get the weeds away from the house, got to get the bugs out and stuff. I love it. I love the depiction of the last grasp of kind of holding on to what is yours, because the home is really all that you have in the world for most people and everything in it. But you constantly are challenged with taking care of it and the upkeep. And so we start to build this almost literal kind of mirror or window, you could say. And we even have kind of reciprocal characters on both sides with both of the leaders, and more specifically, them having their so-called dogs. Because we literally have Humongous calling his main man, or whatever he is, the road dog, and he's on a chain at one point. It's very literal. It's unmistakable. But we also have Max, who is the kind of benevolent, free-range dog that helps out the guys in beige. We also have, what's his name?
The leader, Papagayo.
Yeah. And we even have this parallel between two different kinds of animals. The ones who are like Max and not fucking crazy. And then we have the road dog who needs to be on a chain at certain points.
I like that. And I also like that at the end of the day, they don't want to stay there with those animals. They don't want to stay confined to that nature. They want to get out. They want to go to the beach, I think. And as the old man said, that he wants to go to a place where all there is to do is make babies. And he's inviting Max.
Sounds like a vacation, even to me.
Yeah.
Or a honeymoon type thing. That they're trying to escape from their normal lives.
Well, when he showed him the vacation that they're trying to go to, it was postcards. So, yeah.
Yeah. This movie sort of feels like something you'd watch in high school, and your worthwhile literature teacher would be like, all right, analyze it. What is the symbolism here? What are things representing? At least in the context, even just the world, not metaphorically.
Yeah.
Because the guys, they even have it on the poster here. The guys in black, the guys who also aren't wearing very many clothes, they're more naked. They have claws on their hands. They put people on the front of their cars like trophies. It's just a nice division. And Max also serves this purpose of being this sort of messiah-like, not necessarily, just because you're saving people, I guess doesn't mean you're a messiah, but he does inspire change. The little boy grows up and forms his own tribe. He's inspired to seek order and even maybe some semblance of culture based off of his storytelling. So it's actually pretty neat in its allegorical-ish nature. Something we didn't see in the first one so much. But just another weird evolution of something like this. Because you see something sort of like this in Alien. Not much really happens in the first Alien. Then you have this whole motherhood metaphor in the next one. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there for sure. And we also have a sense of family or community here. Because I started to ask the question, why does Max change his mind after his car gets blown up?
That's a good question to ask.
Why does he come back, and why does he say, no, I'm driving this? And they're like, the deal's off the table, bro. And he's like, oh, I don't want anything from you. I just need to do this. And especially in this world where it's a world where you don't have a moral obligation to do anything anymore, really.
It's hopeless.
Yeah.
It's a hopeless world.
Yeah.
There are no heroes here. Why'd he change his mind?
I don't know. He wants something to live for. He wants something, like you said.
Is he inspired by Papagayo? Did it finally take root?
I guess when someone saves your life, you start to think about things and say, hey, maybe people around each other isn't so bad. Maybe I need to find something worth fighting for, like he said. Because he brought up his family and Max punched the shit out of him.
I've tried to figure it out in my mind of Max not wanting to be like them, the guys in black. but he's not like them. I want that to work in my mind, that he's afraid of ending up like them, but he doesn't really have any of the tendencies. He's a loner, first and foremost. That's why he goes back, because he gets some kind of sense of hope that humanity can work together again, and that he doesn't want to proliferate its demise any more than he already has.
Right. In the first one, he just had his badge that kept him dutiful.
And his friends and family.
But
he's slipping.
But you lose the badge, you lose the friends, you lose the family.
But not being part of the guys in black, the animals, and explicitly kind of wanting to be on your own separates you from that ideology anyways. So I can't quite flesh that out of why exactly he went back, other than he was just inspired and it was just a convenience. Not a bad one, because it does play up that allegorical thing of just destiny and things need to go a certain way to get the message across and everything. And one other thing I wanted to point out, which I thought was very cool, and I wish we could get more of through dialogue and stuff, but we really don't get a lot of strong dialogue in this film. More than the first one, I think.
Yeah.
But not an awful lot. Both leaders specifically talk about how they've all experienced pain in different ways. That was very interesting. And it brings up a great idea of putting yourself in other people's shoes. And it opens up this can of, the guys in black, or doing whatever it takes to survive. In a way.
Yeah, you gotta rape a couple women to survive.
Yeah, there's some questionable decision making, right? He's got this band of savages. It's hard to speak of suffering and pain when you jump to it as your first response.
Yes.
There's, as far as we can tell, we jump, just like Max, we jump into this film when this altercation has been going on. So maybe there has been some diplomacy, right? Maybe there has been some one-on-one with the leaders, talking it out, and it just hasn't worked out. It's hard to say. I didn't get any indication of that. Maybe the two leaders should have been brothers at a time, kind of thing.
Ah.
I'm not sure, but I did and didn't like that. It kind of holds this movie back in that way. But just another very cool parallel between the two.
Yeah. No, I agree. How did you feel that we gave Max a dog?
Well, I was just thinking that it's funny that we immediately jump in this movie with Max having that dog to set up this symbolism of, man and dog. So we extrapolate that to Humongous and his dog, and then the leader of the guys in beige, Papagayo, and his dog. Who is his dog? Well, it becomes Max. Briefly, he's a free-range dog. So it's a great through line, and it comes up in a really great way again when he gets killed, right? When the dog gets killed. And that's just another thing that tips Max over. He's losing more people he loves, or more things he loves, right? When are we going to stop the pain and suffering? Right now. We're going to fuck these guys up. Well, I guess he didn't go out with the idea that he was going to kill all these guys. He was just trying to help the good people, but...
Yep, he wasn't a John Wick here.
But he knows what's about to go down. What do you think of the dog?
I like the dog. The dog was cute. I love that we gave him a little red bandana. That was adorable.
Max also had a red bandana.
Did he?
Yeah, on his arm.
They were matching?
Oh,
I didn't even notice. That's even cuter. But I like the dog. I like this idea of him having a companion, having something to kind of resemble a family unit. But man, why did we have to kill the dog?
It's because you just said it. It's his family.
But why?
We gotta set Mad Max off. He's Mad Max.
When did Hollywood stop killing dogs?
We need to bring it back. I need a t-shirt.
No.
Make the dog die again.
No. Ever since I saw Crawl, I realized Hollywood was on a path to stop killing the dogs. And I'm for it. I'm tired of being just overcome with emotion when they kill the doggies. So I just thought that was interesting. That's just what you watch on TV back then. And not so back then. It's very recent. Crawl was 2019. How did you feel about our characters here? I will say that Mel Gibson looks a lot better in this film. Maybe he grew up a little bit. He grew out some facial hair. He got roughed and toughed by life. He looks a bit more rugged. He looks the part, and I like it. I am so glad that he decided to look the part, or someone decided, hey man, you need to look more like a Mad Max character would look. And he said, oh, okay, and did it.
Well, in the first one, he had to look a little vanilla because he was a family man, right? He had a job.
Look, you can look vanilla, but you always know that the transformation's going to be good.
Well, they said the transformation is a whole movie. And that's this one.
All right, then. Because we also have our bad guy, Humongous. And we didn't have the personality we had with Toe Cutter. Is it the nature of the movie? We didn't focus on him too much.
Yeah.
But we have movies like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes of the movie that we briefly have Proximus, and we give him so much personality.
It's funny that you say that because I've been thinking about it. One of the things that really separates this movie from those two you just mentioned is these devices that they're never off of. They are part of these cars to the nth+1 degree. I don't think Humongous gets off of his car. I think he only stands up on it and drives it. And obviously, you know, the vehicles have become the star of Mad Max. Starting with the first one, maybe, but I mean, definitely at this point, it's just...
The cars in the first one are just cars. There's nothing spectacular about them, but we do get the sneak peek of that V8, but that's it.
Yeah, it's in the first one, they really are just the means of the violence. Mm-hmm. They don't really have any personality.
Yeah.
Other than maybe the cop cars a little bit and stuff, but not so much. Collectively, you know, the guys on the bikes have some personality, and each individually actually do, at least the main 4 or 5 guys in the first one. But in this one, we have cars that don't exist, right? The Papagayo's got this weird bullet-looking vehicle. We got the big Tinker. We have that weird car Humongous drives. We have these souped out, like, you know, a couple red vehicles with, like, different weapons that shoot arrows and stuff. Like they've got some fun personality, and it even goes as far as merging machine and man. We have this guy at the oil compound who is wheeled around on like a crane because he doesn't walk, I guess. It's awesome. That's probably my favorite visual of the whole film, is them moving that guy around. And then my favorite scene in the movie also involves him. I'm glad you laughed. Was when they were yelling back and forth.
That's my favorite scene.
It's so good. That's so good.
That's my favorite scene.
It's also a really good scene, too, because the leader, he just fucking got shot, and he's, like, leadering.
He's got to make decisions.
Yeah, yes. he's leading. It's like, what is going on? It's pretty good.
Translating.
Pretty good.
They're mumbling.
I love it.
They're translating. They're mumbling. I'm glad that's your favorite scene, too. But yes, the personality to Humongous is his car. And we're missing a lot of that Toe Cutter energy. But it's fine. It's okay. I also don't like how he dies. It felt a little...
It's a little anticlimactic, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and we get the exact same thing from Toe Cutter's death, too, where they run head on. And it's very cool visually.
I guess that's his signature now.
Yeah, I don't know, it's bizarre.
I don't know if it's because we just had about 15 minutes of pure car chase adrenaline, that was the climax, not the death of Humongous. We didn't give him a big personality anyway, so why should we even care? Really?
Yeah, I guess the climax was the twist.
The climax was the twist. Yes.
It's like, oh, shit.
Okay, yeah.
Because, I mean, I get it. How do you make a violent climax when the last 15 minutes are insanely violent and cool?
Those 15 minutes are so violent and cool that it sparked Fury Road.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know, 95% of it in a road chase.
Yeah, I guess they hop off for a little bit to get on some bikes to get back on the road. How did you feel about the kid and the Gyro Captain?
The kid reminded me of Spider from the new Avatar, Wave of the Water, whatever that's called.
Wave at the Water?
wave the water. I don't know. Wave at the water. The water waves.
The water waves.
Spider's garbage in the new Avatar movie.
Yes.
The kid's a little annoying here, but I think just kids are annoying maybe. But that's fine, you know. Everyone should be a little bit annoyed, you know. How do you know you're alive unless you're a little bit annoyed?
That's true. I'm very alive.
But I love what he represents, like I was saying earlier here. He is this in-between. He is this literal manifestation of hope and change. He doesn't speak. As far as we know, he can't speak. He's very devolved in that way. Where is he from? I don't know. Is he Humongous' son? Is he baby Humongous?
I guess he learns to speak, right? He's our narrator.
He learns to speak, and it's awesome. What he represents is awesome. Then from the narration standpoint, it's awesome, but like when he shows up, I'm just like, when he kills the guy with the boomerang, I'm just like, I mean, that's cool, but it's shot weird.
Yes.
When he sneaks on the truck and gets in the front seat with Max at the end, I'm just like, you know, he makes me just feel like they have a great reason why he needs to be here, but they can't justify it plot-wise. And so I'm a little just like, why are you actually here kind of thing.
Yeah, and especially because we didn't make Max have any heartfelt moments with his kid in the first one.
Yeah. It's a little forced maybe in that way.
Yes, because he gives him that little happy birthday
music box,
thank you. So there's something here in Max that sparks fatherhood, I don't know. And, you know, the kid tries to go with him when Max is leaving. So there's a bond here we're trying to force. But we didn't give that to Max.
Yeah, and that's only reinforced really through this grasp on order thing that is being thinned out at every moment in this movie. I mean, in reality, those, you know, the guys who left to find greener grass, they were all slaughtered on the road. In reality of this, in this world.
Dang, and here I thought that guy was out there enjoying his vacation.
No. So yeah, maybe it feels a little forced to kind of put this kid on Max, you know, this dog on Max.
It's almost like we're making him a different character from the first one. See, that's the difference that I'm talking about with these movies. It's like, you know what? Let's just scratch that we made that first one. And here's what we actually meant to make now that we have money from the first one.
I mean, I get that, but there's also this very linear evolution of the world.
True,
it's so
true.
That's man, I can't get over. I can't stop saying it.
True.
You can't overstate it. It's so bizarre.
The
right. Evolution is very, very bizarre.
You're right about that.
Yes, they should have made Max in the first one maybe a little more family oriented. Maybe a little more loving, a little bit more,
at least to his kid, because he did with the wife. We do have a tender moment where they're like laying down on a blanket.
Sure, yeah, that's fair.
But I don't even think Max knew he had a kid.
Yeah, the baby was weirdly missing in scenes in the first movie. Because I think they were having like a picnic type thing, and the baby was with them, but it wasn't literally with them. It's just like, man, shouldn't your baby be with you? Why is it
in the car? Yeah.
It just screams production complications.
Oh, okay, yeah. And like you said in our previous episode, maybe we just needed the baby to give that really great cinematic scene where the mama and baby get run over and we see the little shoe and the ball rolling.
Because even at the end of the first one, he is at the hospital with his, you know, soon-to-be dead wife. I mean, she's all but dead, right?
No one has ever said soon-to-be dead wife.
The lucky ones have. But there's no indication of him being upset about his kid.
Was there even a kid?
I don't know. So,
did it kill itself with that gun?
So I get it. I mean, it's very clear what they are definitely going for. I think they just fail on a character level in that way. And I hate to say it, but that's okay.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Gyro Captain is something. We get that animal comparison again. He's got a snake, right? The problem I have with that literal comparison is he's not snake-like. I almost prefer it was a cat or something, which is funny because that's like the mortal enemy to a snake. But the Gyro Captain is this very extreme case of like intellect and I guess being a leader, like a natural born leader, because he takes on leading these people into their greener grass on the beach.
And probably raising that boy.
Yeah. And he obviously, it's very quick and forced, but again, the allegorical kind of nature helps sell some of the conveniences. He immediately falls in love with that girl, tries to run away and stuff. He loves being here. He loves the order of things. It's fine, but I'm not in love with the character.
I wanted to like the character a bit more also because we're trying to give Max a best friend.
Just another Echo, right?
And he even says it, like, don't you want a partner?
Yeah, very literal.
Yeah. And Max is like, no, sorry. So I don't know. I don't know if he's in the next one. I can't wait to see if any of these people are in the next one or if this is just like a short story of this one instance. Is Max even in the next one? I don't know. I haven't looked at the movie title, so I can't wait to see it. I will say the props in this movie are pretty cool. We don't have much to work with because it's desert and barren, but we do have that compound, which is really cool. I love what you said about the crane. I like that fire machine gun thing, whatever that thing is called.
Flamethrower.
The flamethrower, thank you. I love the bus, and it has a fake door drawn on it. And I like the Gyro Captain's helicopter. I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like that in a movie. How did they make him fly back then? Don't tell me that he was actually flying.
Yeah, so a lot of the flying machine was real. The crash scene obviously was done relatively safely with a crane.
That's awesome.
All the cars are real.
That's awesome. I love it. You know what? I like that movie a little bit more now because of that. I do hate that his car gets destroyed right after he loses his dog. It's so sad. Last thing I want to bring up is the ending. And I thought it was obvious that Max knew there was sand in the tank and not real gas. But according to the internet, it's this ambiguous thing. It's a question. Did Max know? Did he not know? What are your thoughts on that? I thought he knew. I thought that this was the plan. I thought we were being tricked, not Max being tricked.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, isn't it? Is it ambiguous? I didn't take it as ambiguous. He seemed like, what the fuck? He didn't seem mad or anything. He was just like, what the fuck is going on?
So you don't think he knew?
I don't think he knew. But it's kind of funny because, of course, the leader would have known. And he was, of course, very willing to sacrifice himself, basically.
Yeah, he got shot. He probably knew he was a goner soon anyway. Because if the leader didn't tell Max, then I gotta rethink this movie. Because they're the tame guys. They're the guys who still have a little bit of morals to hold on to. He's the guy that said, when one of his henchmen suggested, let's keep his car, he said no. He's still a good man. He's still a moral man. He's a good guy. We're not going to steal his car. They're not like that. But I guess in a survival world, you got to do what you got to do. But then I got to rethink the movie if Max didn't know. Because I wrapped it up with a little bow saying, oh, he knew the whole time. He planned this. They all planned this. They all got away. Until someone said that. Did he know? And I was like, what? People out there think he didn't know? And that guy in the video I saw also thought Max didn't know. He kind of like you said that he looked a bit like, what? He wasn't mad, but he was like, what? Okay, there's sand in here. And I took that as like, yeah, we knew there was sand in here. Screw you.
And I hate to say it, but it might be a product of sloppy storytelling, the ambiguous nature of it. Because of the very straight-laced set of characters and situations we have our characters set up in, because of the black and white nature and very boxed in allegorical story we have here, you can't have characters kind of pull a fast one on them when it doesn't fit their character.
Yeah.
And so Papagayo not briefing Max on that would be, in this scenario, bad storytelling. But at the same time, we have Max and the camera coming in for a close-up of him caressing the sand pouring out of the tanker as like a big shock. Like he didn't know. Like, what is this kind of moment? And so there's a little bit of a conflicting thing happening there. And I hate to be this guy, and it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I think it's sloppy storytelling.
Okay. Because I took that zoom in as like a ha ha ha, screw you. Because all the bad guys were out there watching. So, like, I thought it was just Max, like, caressing it in his hands. Like, you want this? This is what you wanted? Kind of moment. But maybe that was just me already building the story in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It may have just kind of worked out in the end for George Miller and crew. Because living in that ambiguous space is successful, I think. That's a good place to be. And of course, not everyone's going to meet them there. Some people are going to die on the hills of both sides, right?
Yeah.
He knew. He definitely knew. Or he definitely didn't know. But because of the structure of the story, I can't help but to believe that it's a little sloppy in its plot. And its twist, I guess. Papagayo's not that deep of a character to do something like that.
Exactly.
And if it was one of these scenarios where there just wasn't time to tell Max, I feel like you have to indicate that.
You have to address that, yes, because the Gyro Captain knew, right?
Why did he know?
Because he was there at night helping everybody do shit. He got his girl. It'd be weird if he didn't know.
Yeah.
And it'd be weird if he didn't tell Max.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why it was beautifully tied in my head, because why wouldn't Max know?
Sure.
Why wouldn't anyone tell him?
So you thought he knew?
I thought he knew.
That's funny, because it definitely comes across at the end that he didn't know, to me.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
like,
funny.
To me, it did.
We were on both sides of that.
Yes. And it wasn't until that YouTube video I saw that someone was like, so did he know? I was like, wait.
It's funny. I wonder what the consensus is. Where people lean on that.
Well, I saw more people saying that he didn't know than that he knew.
You gotta ask, too, is it a performative thing? Because
it, like, to me, it just wouldn't make sense for any of these characters to not have told him.
And most people are probably reading into the performative moment, because out of context, his face is like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, then again, I guess it's all about perspective. I don't know, it's a good space to live in, though.
Yes, agreed. It worked for them.
And there's also such little character that it doesn't really matter either. So it's just like nothing to really get mad over.
Well, I'm telling you, if Max didn't know, I have to rethink about some of the things I've seen with these characters. Maybe the snake does imply that the Gyro Captain is a snake.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, I gotta rewatch this movie all of a sudden.
I mean, it's a good point. It also challenges the question: is the way things used to be very good at all, very just at all?
Yeah.
Is Papagayo even worth believing in? He might have an old time mindset, and that's what some people want.
That's true, because in another dialogue moment that I enjoyed, he's given this speech and he's saying, we got to do what we got to do, but first we must defend the oil. We must defend the fuel. And that's when the lady says words, just words, which I like that, because I feel like that's something we would still say today in a lot of films, in a lot of day-to-day conversation, words.
It feels like something to be out of a Shakespeare tale.
Yeah. So I like that little exchange, but that's what she was saying. Like, you're just saying words, dude.
It's begging And it's just another example, man. Just so many movies are. It's begging for 15 more minutes, 20 minutes of dialogue. Character development, not necessarily some growth arc, but what are driving these characters just a little bit more. Because those kinds of moments compete against that allegorical structure. Because they imply something, and you don't have implications in an allegorical story.
Yes.
So, I get you. I can't say it enough, man. Mad Max is bizarre. It's a bizarre franchise. It's a bizarre evolution. I like it.
I'm here for it.
All right, man. Well, thank you for watching Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior with me and talking about it here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for making me watch this, because I also would not have watched this without you.
Do you have a budget guess?
So I gave the first movie $2 million, converted and inflation and all that shit, but it was actually super low. So I think for this one, I am going to give it $2 million, which is what I would have given the first one. So now he has money. You know what I'm saying? Like $2 million. Although he made a lot of money from that first movie, so maybe he went big.
So in 1981 money, it was around $4 million.
Okay.
And in 1981 money, it went on to make $35 million, which is $120 million today.
Ooh-wee.
And with 238,000 people over on Letterboxd, they weighed in at a 3.9.
3.9. Okay.
It's super high.
It's pretty high. I gave the first one a 3.5. I don't know if I would give this one a 3 or a 3.5. There's just this personality to the first one that I really enjoyed that the second one doesn't have, but it doesn't make it a lesser movie. It just makes it a less my type of movie. I don't know, because it's still my type of movie. It's still action, it's still cars, it's still weirdness. I don't know. 3.5. I gotta think about it.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the 2.5, 3 camp. I like it more than the first one, but not an awful lot. So I don't know where to place these films because they are so bizarre to me. I just can't. I don't know. But yeah, man, thank you for watching this movie with me and talking about it today. And thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Filmistines. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with brand new episodes on patreon.com/Filmistines, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come request a movie. Come subscribe. $5. We appreciate all the support. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is The Filmistines signing off.